On today's show, there's a new Deadeye sharpshooter on the range. Move over, Annie Oakley, and watch out, boys. The best shotgunner in Minnesota may be a blonde in a ponytail. You know them as invasive species. They sound ominous, and they are. We'll take a look at Minnesota's war against the zebra mussel and other invasives and what you can do to help fight the battle. And Minnesota is a national leader in one category nobody wants: deer ticks and Lyme disease. What you need to know to live happily ever after in the woods. And our Minnesota Bound Classic visits with a guide whose specialty is bluegills. In fact, he's known as Bro, the Bluegill Guide. Those stories and more next.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers.
Hi, everybody. Raven and I welcome you to the show. Our first story, let's put it this way. If you combined a young woman with a ponytail and a shotgun, what have you got? A champion. There's a new Deadeye sharpshooter on the range. Move over, Annie Oakley. Watch out, men and boys. The hottest shotgunner in Minnesota may be a blonde with a ponytail. Watch this. Don't worry, she didn't miss. Say hello to Miss KayCee Nelson. Trap shooting was her game for White Bear Lake High School, and she's a natural.
It took 2.5 years, and I started breaking hundreds once in a while, and now I can compete with the guys, and I'm used to the gun and everything, and I don't even know what's going off. It's nerve-wracking at first. When I was little, I was scared of the gun. I was scared of being kicked and everything, and it's nerve-wracking, especially when you're around a lot of guys too, because they're just like, oh, some girl, you know, not gonna shoot, and I'm like, no, it's not gonna go down that way.
KayCee was 13 when she first picked up a shotgun in firearm safety class.
And then my high school got a trap team, and then so I got into that.
All under the approving eyes of Mom and Dad, Tammy and Ron Nelson.
Trap shooting, it's fun to just mingle with everybody because everybody's so nice.
Yeah.
And you want to go to see your kid shoot because everybody just roots everybody on.
It's
And
so much
that's,
fun.
to me, is what it's all about, is everybody having fun, getting along, enjoying what you're doing, and everybody goes home happy.
And the rest is, well,
KayCee 25.
history. A trail of shattered clay birds leading to the title of Minnesota High School champion to winning the big leagues, the Minnesota State Trap Shoot.
My long-term goals are to also make the All-American team and just stay consistent with myself and try to be on the top.
This includes competing against shotgunners from boys to men. Frankly, she doesn't seem fazed about being watched.
If you miss some, I mean, everyone's laughing and stuff. It's not like go home and cry about it or something.
Good job.
Good job?
I had 50 straight.
How good?
50 out of 50, yep.
Hey, Coach, can't improve that score.
No, she's well beyond my level of expertise in trap shooting. So at her level, I don't want to mess anything up.
Back at home, now 18 years old and out of high school, KayCee shows off another passion. She is an avid hunter, turkeys, ducks, whatever.
This one? Yeah. That's the Rio Grande.
And the hunting urge started when?
Because I've done that since I was 3 years old. And duck and goose hunting is my absolute favorite thing to do in the whole world.
That may explain her bedroom, enriched with camo and a young hunting dog, with shelves full of crack shot honors, including the 2011 All-American Women's Trap Shooting Team.
Yeah. There's not enough room to put everything.
And the tools of her trade?
I own 3 of my own shotguns. Yep.
Ken and Barbie, move over. Coming up, all about the war on things invading Minnesota's waters. We have to stop invasive species. We'll see what you can do to help.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers. Renewal by Anderson, Seven Clans Casino, Connecticut, and by Rapala.
Our next story is in the news almost all the time. Invasive species. Creatures invading our water that shouldn't be there. How serious is it? Maybe it's time to remind ourselves. There's trouble right here in River City. Trouble swimming in the Mississippi River. And there's trouble in the land of 10,000 lakes, too. Trouble in the water. Serious trouble called invasive species. This is Pelican Lake in Otter Tail County. Gary Thompson, whose nickname is Seal, is about to go under where trouble might be lurking.
How many walleyes you want?
Truth is, Seal isn't looking for walleyes. He's been hired by a fishing group, Fargo Moorhead Walleyes Unlimited, to see if zebra mussels, first discovered in the lake in 2009, have expanded.
This lake is showing evidence, obviously, that there are zebra mussels present, but there's lakes all over in this area, and the real message is to educate folks about what we can do when we're moving our boats or our watercraft from one lake to another, and really contain it and keep it from spreading and keep it from affecting other waters.
I really applaud the DNR for doing what they are right now and getting decontamination units and getting the word out.
Right now, we're right in this area right here.
But on Pelican, it's too late. Somehow, some way, zebra mussels got here.
Wow, look, they're all over the weeds on the anchor.
Oh yeah, all over on the native vegetation. That's the zebra mussel right there.
Yep.
You can tell because it's got the striped nature. It just fell off here.
So why are zebra mussels bad for our lakes? Here's one reason.
These zebra mussels each siphon about a quart of water a day, and you can see the water spurting out of these zebra mussels if you're real close. And they're siphoning that water through. What that does is it removes the zooplankton from the water. That is part of the food source that our native fish rely on for survival.
It's this threat to our native fish life and our way of life that has prompted DNR to launch an all-out war on invasive species. Leading the war is DNR's Luke Skinner.
Several years. Right now we have 6 invasive species specialists that work out in the field on the ground, and we have 4 or 5 staff that we use that help coordinate all the stuff statewide, all the actions, whether it's prevention and management. And then we hire about between 100 and next year 150 inspectors to be out at the launches working to help educate people and then prevent the spread of those species around the states.
Of all the invasives, Skinner says the zebra mussel is public enemy number 1.
The way zebra mussels move is by us, is by people, whether it's on boats, in water, on boat lifts and docks when they get attached and they move them. So it's really about people and their actions. We have 800,000 registered boats in the state. And that's a lot of people. And during the course of the year, there's millions of people that are moving these boats around, hunting and fishing and angling. And so it's really those folks that we really need to work with. And that's the biggest challenge of getting them to make that behavior change.
Once reaching new water, zebras spread quickly.
This was found in Lake Pepin. The number one thing to help prevent spread of most species is really personal responsibility. We need to have the angler, the recreational boater, the lake homeowner take action. They need to know what they need to do.
And every angler, every boater has a role to play.
Just emptying the live wells, emptying the bilge, making sure the boat is dried, it's cleaned. It doesn't take that much effort, and a little bit of prevention is going to go a long ways.
Up next, what you need to know about Lyme's disease and how to protect yourself and your family when out in the great outdoors.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Yard, premier manufacturers of maintenance-free outdoor patio furniture and accessories from recycled plastic.
Welcome back. Our next story is one of those that kind of makes my skin crawl. It's about wood ticks, but more importantly, it's about Lyme's disease and what you should know to avoid getting it. A Minnesota forest is not just habitat for deer or squirrels or rough grouse. Danger also lurks here. Not big bad bears, but tiny biting creatures known as deer ticks. Ticks that carry something called Lyme disease.
This is the adult female, the adult male, and this is the nymph.
Dr. Betty Maloney is a family practitioner and a Lyme disease expert.
We are in the top 10 of all the states with Lyme disease. It's mostly the eastern seaboard and then Wisconsin and Minnesota.
Dr. Maloney says it's important to know the difference between deer ticks and wood ticks.
If you look at the deer tick closely, the body is a nice reddish brown and there is a black cape. And in the dog tick, or what we call the wood tick, that cape is white in the female. And the body is more of a ruddy brown.
Only the smaller deer tick is a carrier of Lyme disease.
If you see a tick on you, that's great because they're very hard to spot. But you only get Lyme if the tick has been attached, and usually it has to be a minimum of 24 hours.
Minnesotans who hunt, camp, or hike in woodsy areas are most apt to run into deer ticks, but if you're a golfer, be warned.
The golf courses have a lot of deer, and so if you're in the rough, you are in prime tick country.
We cut on the wooded side back.
Minnesota homeowner Jan Thege has actually fortified her woodsy backyard to keep ticks out.
We saw the ticks that were pretty prevalent on our dog and on us. And then in '04, after my daughter was diagnosed with Lyme, I said, that's enough. We're going to landscape for Lyme.
After Lyme disease struck her family, Jan also became involved with the Minnesota Lyme Association.
The role of the association is to reach out across Minnesota and inform people, build an awareness about Lyme disease.
Deer ticks may be tiny, but the disease is big time.
It can make you quite sick. It can affect not only your skin with the rash that most people think about when they think about Lyme disease, but can affect your heart, your nerves, and it can give you arthritis.
While Lyme usually is curable, diagnosing for the disease can be confusing to doctors and patients alike.
Probably the most important thing to know about the symptoms is that the classic bullseye rash that everyone was trained to look for is really a rare occurrence. Usually in the early stage of Lyme disease, you'll feel like you have a summertime flu. So you'll have fevers and chills and headaches. You feel like a truck ran over you.
Now, to avoid such a fate, if you should find a tick on you, it should be removed immediately.
The other thing I want people to do is to take that tick and put it in a baggie with a little moist paper towel or anything, because your doctor's going to want to see that tick. They want to verify that it was indeed a deer tick.
Now, don't forget to protect your dog and cat against deer ticks, as well as yourself. Now, mosquito repellents like this have DEET. DEET is not effective on deer ticks. You want to use something called permethrin. Permethrin on your clothing, it works. And one more thing, let's not let a little deer tick keep us from enjoying the woods.
Blue forest.
It's that time of year to fish bluegills, and we share a boat with an expert in the field. You're going to meet Bro, the bluegill guide.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Hennepin County Medical Center, Minnesota Agricultural Water Resources Coalition, Minnesota soybean farmers and their checkoff,
You know, it won't be long when bluegills will be in the shallow spawning, and they will be very catchable. Which brings up our Minnesota Bound Classic this week, a story about one of my favorite anglers. His name, Bluegill Bro. All right, what's the first step here, bro?
We're gonna get on a nice weed edge. It's the middle of summer and the bluegills are moving to the weed line.
He calls himself Bro. Bluegill Bro.
And what we'll do is, let me get the leeches out here. I'll move these up front.
I was wondering what the secret bait was going to be.
It's still leeches, but crawlers are starting to come into play big time.
No cabins here.
No. This is how they all were.
Isn't that something?
Throwback in time.
Yeah.
And it's a throwback in time with bluegills.
Yes, Bro is a catch and release hunter of giant bluegills.
Come on, gills. But we get the bigger fish. I like to see them thrown back because that's what keeps the lake alive, keeps the bigger ones in the lake. The bigger males protect the nest and keep the little ones from going on the nest and spawning.
Bro was born Brian Brosdahl. A decade ago, Bro headed north from Minneapolis, Minnesota, launched a fish guiding service, and never returned.
It's not a real high money way to make a living, but you can, if you stay busy, you can live comfortable. You do it because you love it.
Although he typically guides for walleyes and such, his passion is for catching bluegills.
Ooh, this one's fighting.
Oh, yeah. Especially the big ones.
Wow, there's a bluegill.
Oh, beauty.
It's actually a big yeah, is it a pumpkin seed? Kind of a cross. That's a big one.
That's what we're looking for, huh?
Yeah.
Not a pound, though, is it?
No, this one's about a 10-ouncer. It's some people's pound. What a beautiful fish, huh? We'll let that one go. Pound or better. I've always loved catching bluegills, but I really started pursuing them as they're disappearing. It was getting harder and harder to find them. Bluegill spots were coveted. They're very secretive, and it was just the lure of catching something that's rare.
So rare are big bluegills, those weighing 1 pound or more,
As a matter of fact, they're very hard to find.
that Bro has launched his own campaign. A campaign to protect them.
If the fish really start hitting strong, I get circle hooks.
Oh, cool.
So they won't get gut hooked. You get hooked in the lip every time. All right.
It's a good one, I think.
Way to go.
I haven't got as many big bluegills as you have. Big old pumpkin seed. Oh, look at there. Isn't that a pie plate, as they say?
That's a beauty.
Look at that on my hand.
That almost looks like a hybrid between the pumpkin seed and the bluegill.
Aren't they gorgeous? Look at that. Blue fluorescent in there. Is that a male, Bro?
That is a female.
Female.
There's 4 quarters to fishing. There's the search, the actual fishing, the catching, and the eating. Ooh, there we go. Well, I like the first 3 quarters. Just a nice one, not real big, more like an eater sized. I do like the 4th quarter. I will eat gills, but they have to be smaller, and there's no reason to kill a big gill.
In Bro's world, large bluegills deserve to be caught more than once. Yeah, what? Hey.
Hence the bluegill. There's the bluegill. Nice fish. Go back there. Send more.
Send more. Send more recruits, huh?
Yes.
Oh, Bluegill Bro. We should remember what he said, though. When it comes to big bluegills, we should let the big ones go, and if you want to eat some, eat those 8 inches or less, and let's preserve those trophy fish, okay? Well, that about does it for us. Remember, introduce a kid to the great outdoors so they can catch a big bluegill. I'm Ron Scher, and of course, the star of the show always is Raven.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. For more information on these stories and more, catch us on the web at mnbound.com.